Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay, that's Maddie, and we are coming to the end of the NFL season very soon because we're reviewing Week 13 and already previewing Week 14. It's crazy, Maddie, that it's already this far into the season.
Yeah, this is our Week 14 Thursday night show before an integral Dallas Cowboys and Detroit Lions game that we will be getting to. But we're going to go back and have a look at Week 13. And that means having a look at the Indianapolis Colts and the Texans, the Panthers and the Rams, the Steelers and the Bills, the Commanders and the Broncos games. If you want to know more about our thoughts on the Thanksgiving games, then you can go look at our Sunday show, our last show. Go look at the Thanksgiving games on there. Before we award our Week 13 MVP and Rookie MVP, I asked Jay a question that I want to ask any NFL GM as well, and we go to our Week 13 overreactions. That is all before going and previewing Thursday Night Football of Week 14 and giving you our Week 14 best bet. So stay tuned for all of that. We are so excited to have you along for the ride. And guys, don't worry, I am not coming to you from a crack den this evening. This is currently my parents renovating their house. That's why it looks like this behind me. So don't send messages of worry. I'm all okay. It's fine.
Maddie from the trap house. That's what we're doing. Maddie from the trap house. Here we go, guys.
Have you seen that? Like the Instagram thing of like, I'm an American guy taking my British friend to do the most American shit, and it's just like, this is what you've got me doing now. You've put me in a trap house. Like that's what's going on in this one. But let's start by looking back at our Week 13 games. As I said, guys, if you want to know the stuff about the Thanksgiving games, then you can go see our show from last Sunday. But we're going to look first at the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans. Jay, are the wheels falling off for the Indianapolis Colts after this loss here? That's 2 big losses in a row.
I don't think the wheels are falling off. I think they need to regroup, figure out, fix some mistakes. But I still think they're a really good team. And I'm not saying that this is an excuse, but the NFL really needs to change the rule that you can't challenge a field goal over the top of the fucking pole.
Yeah, I did look back at that today and was thinking, I still don't think that field goal went in. Like, I'm not.
I don't either. That's why it needs to be reviewable. Yeah. That was wild. There's so much shit the refs have been horrible with this year, so I don't want to go on a tangent, but it is so weird to me that that's not reviewable. How the fuck is that not reviewable?
Yeah, I think it's like every scoring play is reviewable apart from extra points and field goals. It's like, well, they're fucking scoring plays, man. Like what do you mean? What do you want us to do? But it's just a classic thing of the NFL this season of they're just reluctant. They've got all the technology in the world that they can use, and they're still just reluctant to use it. And I'm not really sure why in the NFL anymore, because in football, they don't use it because they don't want to slow the game down. In rugby, they don't use it in all the things because they don't want to slow the game down, and that's fine. But American football games are slow. So you should just be able to use it all the time. It should be no problem and just come away with the right decision. And you have like old heads saying, oh, we don't want games to last 6 hours and stuff. It's like, they're going that way anyway. Let's just make sure we get the right decisions in the games.
And no game has ever went 6 hours, right? Or even, I don't think a game's ever hit 4. And even if it did, people are still going to watch. Like, so it's just more ad revenue, more commercials you can sell.
Like all that time where the refs are deciding what's going on, just put ads on there and then make sure when we come back from ads, we see the final shot that gives us the right answer. Do
that where you put the ref up in the corner and then you show an ad on the screen. And then when he comes back,
Yeah, exactly. All of that. Like it's not a problem. It's not a genuine problem. Just use the technology that's there for you.
So Florio always brings up this idea, and I won't spend time dragging Florio like usual. But because this isn't the worst idea. There should be a ref that's up in the booth in every fucking stadium. One more ref that's watching the game on a screen and can just call down and be like, you got that wrong.
It's what they do in football and rugby, and it's what they do in all of the other sports that use technology as well. They have they call them like the third umpire in cricket. It's the VAR referee in football. What I think is interesting about the NFL and what they're trying to do, though, and I actually do quite like, is having this one source of truth in New York that it all goes to. Like, I'm quite a big fan on that. It should add to more, like, getting the same calls throughout the season. You just need to trust that more often. I actually quite like it all being in New York, all being in the same place with the same set of people. That feels like a decent solve to me, because again, you can take the time in the NFL. You can take the time to do that stuff. But that wasn't the reason that the Colts lost the game. There's other reasons on that. That wasn't just refereeing decisions. Jay, the Colts have now lost, they've lost 3 out of the last 4 games. They lost to the Steelers, they lost to the Chiefs, and now they've lost to the Texans. They got their win against the Falcons in Germany. And it felt like the Colts were kind of going to be in there with an AFC number 1 seed chance. And now they're down to 8-4, and they're level on games with the Jaguars. They're only 1 game ahead of the Texans here as well. It's becoming a really difficult division to pick, this AFC South. So what do you think is going wrong for the Colts here? How do you think they do get back on track? Like, how do you get a team to come and regroup and get back on track? What do they need to do?
I mean, I also think it has a lot to do with the divisional game. They're always played tough. It's not like the Texans defense is shit. So you ran into a team from your division. I think the big test comes this week, and it's like, do you beat the Jags? Do you put your mark on this division? Do you say, this is ours, we're not letting it go? I actually think this week is the game is the litmus test, right, for where this Colts team, because I think they can be really good. And I think they can go really far. So this is the game where they have to show it, because the Jags have been okay, but they haven't been the team that a lot of us were hoping to see this year. So, like, can you take over this division? Can you put your mark on it? I think that's a big answer for the Colts. But I think you just got to focus on what you were doing in the beginning to win games and just stay the course. I don't think it's time to panic.
Yeah, I don't think it's time to panic at all. And even if they kind of miss it, I do think that this season has been a huge improvement for the Colts, and it means that everything's kind of on the right track as well. It's just, there's quite a lot of decent teams in their division. Their last 5 games of the season, the run-in that they've got here, Jay, is pretty brutal. It's the Jags, the Seahawks, the 49ers, the Jags again, and then the Texans again, last game of the season. So the division is still in their hands. They play the Jags twice, and if they beat the Jags twice, chances are they're going to win the division. If they beat the Texans on the final game as well, chances are they'll win that division because of the way that it shapes up for the Jags and the Texans as well.
And it makes it exciting because every game you name, they could win or lose, right? Like, so it makes the rest of the season exciting to watch them going forward.
Yeah, the Colts are an interesting team, and in this game, Jay, I think the Texans just seem to have a little bit more than them in this game, in my opinion. Here, like, I think CJ Stroud came back, and CJ Stroud had a great game. He went 22 of 35, 276 yards against like a decent Colts defense as well. Woody Marks played pretty well as well, getting 64 yards. So the Texans got a bit more offensive production than what they have been getting recently. And then the Texans defense is legitimately one of the best defenses in the league as well. So I don't think the Colts should be panicking. But Jay, who do you think is going to win the AFC South out of the Colts, the Texans, and the Jags?
I still got the Colts because I told you I'm out of my toxic relationship with Trevor Lawrence. So I do. I think it's the Colts. I've been so impressed, and I know that he's not perfect, but I've been so impressed with Danny Dimes in that offense. I love Jonathan Taylor. I love what Leonard Romo's doing with that defense. The Colts have a really good offensive line and a defensive line that can take you really far. I think they still win that division, but I mean, the Jags have it right there for them too. So you know what I mean? If the Jags want it, they can make me go back to thinking about them as I did at the beginning of the season, where I'm like, this might be their season. Liam Cohen, time for Trevor Lawrence to take off. That's why I think this week is such a big week for both those teams.
Yeah, last week's loss led to the Jags going into the 3rd seed, the Colts falling down into the 6th seed, and now the Texans are currently the 8th. So they're on the outside looking in. Currently, for me, Jay, the Texans, if they can get that offensive production, they're really dangerous with just how good the defense is. They're a super dangerous team, and it is kind of in their hands because they've got to play the Jags again as well. The Jags, with Jacoby Myers, since Jacoby Myers came back in, seems to have a really good connection with Trevor Lawrence. It's what Trevor Lawrence has been kind of looking for, just a reliable wide receiver, which Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter haven't been. The Colts, as long as Danny Dimes doesn't turn it over, as long as if Danny Dimes becomes Indiana Jones again, then they definitely win. If Danny Dimes just becomes Daniel Jones again and they like no turnovers and they play those games, that'll be fine because Jonathan Taylor running behind and the additions that they've made to their defense is really great. Although, Jay, it seems like Sauce Gardner has a bit of an injury coming in here as well. So for me, I think the Colts are still probably favorite just because they've got to play so many games in the AFC South again, but it's close.
And they were winning without Sauce, so it's not like he's not great and doesn't help, but they can win without him.
Yeah, Tre'Davious Ward has come back into that team as well. So, Jay, one of the weirder games on Sunday, was the Carolina Panthers beating the Los Angeles Rams. Jay, how did the Panthers beat the Rams in this one? The Rams were 10-point favorites, consensus best team in the NFC. What happened here?
I don't know. Me and my tattoo artist were talking about that today when I was getting my tattoo, and neither of us can like really figure out what this Panthers team is. It's like sometimes you look dog shit, and then you beat Green Bay, and then you go in and you beat LA. I think they're just in a team who's building in the right direction, and at times we see flashes of what they're going to be, and times we see flashes of a team that's still not all the way there yet. So I think we're in that weird stage with them where they could lose any game because of their play, but they almost can win any game because of their play. But I think that's a good sign for the rebuild they're in, and I think we're finally seeing it after, I don't know, what are we going, close to a decade now of them trying to rebuild. Maybe they're on the right track.
Yeah, I was chatting to my dad about that game as well just now, and we were both just thinking, I have no idea how they actually won the game. Like I couldn't watch the game and just understand how they won. They basically turned it into a shootout with the Rams, and they turned it into the kind of shootout that they like, where a lot of it comes through running on the ground. The Rams were defensively poor in their gap structure, which you can't be against the Panthers. They had 2 running backs who went for over 80 yards. So Chuba Hubbard went for 83 yards. No, Chuba Hubbard went for 84 yards and Rico Dowdle went for 83, I believe, as well. So when you have 2 running backs going for 80 plus yards, you're going to struggle in that game as well. And I agree with you, Jay. I think it is just the Panthers rebuild is going in an interesting direction. And I think if the Panthers were really brave going into the next offseason, they could be a really great team because they have all the basis, because they've created a good running game with good running backs. The offensive line is solid in that run game. So you're going to have stability there. They've got Ted McMillan, who is an excellent wide receiver, and they've got some pieces in the wide receiver core as well, like Jalen Croker had a good game in this one. As well. They also have some decent parts at the tight end position. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they play hard. They could have a bit more star power on that defensive side of the ball, but they play really hard. If the Carolina Panthers were brave and they said, Bryce Young isn't a top 10 QB in the NFL, and he won't be. Bryce Young doesn't look like he will be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Bryce Young has good games where he looks unbelievable, like his game against, was it the Falcons, where he threw for like 350 yards, but it was all yak yardage. It was all yards after the catch as well. If they were really brave and said, let's try something else at quarterback, let's go do something else at quarterback, and they went and got Kyler Murray, for example, to the Carolina Panthers with all that cap space that they've got, or they do make sense for Mendoza to come in that draft. We've been talking in the past couple of weeks, like Mendoza doesn't make sense to go to like the Jets or the Browns or like a bad football team. Mendoza makes sense to go to a good football team. So if the Panthers were brave and went and got Mendoza in the first round, or they get Kyler Murray, or they go out and get like even things like Mac Jones and stuff like that. I think that's what the Carolina Panthers' next steps are. All that being said, I have no idea how they won this game. The Rams really should have won this game as well. And Blake Corum actually went off. He was in the running for my rookie of the year. But Jay, should this game be a big concern for the Rams going forward? Should this really concern them? We kind of define this game as a no-win situation for them going into this week.
And it's the NFL. Teams lose games. It's just what happens. Everybody on the field is paid, right? It happens at times. I don't think they should be worried. I think they'll go back in. They'll fix what they see was wrong, and they'll come back out, and they'll go on and start beating teams again. Are any of us doubting the Rams are in the playoffs, like making people worried at the end of the year? Because I'm not. I think people are going to be scared to play the Rams.
I still think for me, the Rams are my favorite to be the number one seed coming out of the NFC. I think they have the same record as the Bears. I think the Bears are above them on conference wins or some sort of strength of schedule thing right now, but the Bears have a much harder running. Good to chat to you, Moose. Guys, if you want to put some comments in the chat, we'll definitely react to anything that you guys have to say about the week 13 of football.
You're a legend around every part. That sounds weird. You're a legend everywhere. I am not. I don't. Yeah. Okay.
Good effort. But yeah, the Rams for me, they're still my favorite team to come out of the NFC as the number one seed, getting a bye in the NFC, just because they're level with the Bears, and the Bears have a really tough run in, and the Rams are really great on every sequence of the ball. And the Carolina Panthers can just do this to anyone. They've been doing it weirdly all season. Jay, the Panthers, could they still get into the playoffs? It's a pretty rough playoff picture in the NFC for a lot of teams.
No, and I think we're still going to see them shit the bed at least one or two more times this season too, right? And they're one of those teams where you're not shocked anymore if they win, but you're not shocked if they lose. So it's like whatever happens, because we even said, talking about this game, I was like, yeah, it depends which Panthers team shows up, right? Because we're at that point with the Panthers. Yeah,
for the Panthers, their road to the playoff comes through winning the division, right? That
you're our Jim Jones.
That's what we're going for. For me, the Panthers, their entire situation of making it to the playoffs is winning the division. They have to win the NFC South. And they're only one game behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the Buccaneers are getting healthy now. Mike Evans is coming back. Bucky Irvin is back in the backfield. Baker Mayfield's injury doesn't seem to be as serious as thought. So I think the Bucs hold on to the NFC South, and then the Panthers can't really get in outside of winning the division. They technically could get in if they run the table and a few things go their way. The NFL currently give them a 20% chance of making the playoffs. And if they were in the playoffs, they're not a team that I would want to play just because of they can beat anybody, but out of the NFC teams, maybe they are the team that I want to play the most.
I was just thinking that too. That's probably the team I want. Yeah.
Yeah. The NFC playoff picture is pretty mad. Like the Cowboys could finish 11-6-1 and still not make it into the NFC playoff, into the NFC side of the playoff draw so far this year. So yeah, crazy on the NFC side. Jay, the Pittsburgh Steelers went up against the Buffalo Bills, and the Steelers got walked. It did not look like Steelers football in Pittsburgh. Big disappointment from both of us here. I think we both had. Did we both have the Steelers? Yeah, we both picked the Steelers in this game to go on and win the game. But they weren't playing good Steelers football at all. Jay, are we seeing Aaron Rodgers last season in the NFL?
I get why people are asking. I don't think so. They're already talking about him trying to stay. I don't know that Rodgers wants to leave, but maybe it's because as of yesterday, I am back in a toxic relationship with the Steelers because Adam Thielen is now a Steeler. So I'm hoping Adam gets a playoff run on the way out of his career because he did say this is his last year. And so I really hope that And this is the type of thing that works for Aaron Rodgers. You get him a veteran, and he figures out how to give them a fountain of youth for a year.
Yeah, and with the Steelers, like their road to the playoff is still not closed because the Ravens are just lost to the Bengals as well. The Ravens are also terrible, so that their road to the playoffs isn't closed.
They're tied for the division with the Ravens right now.
Yeah, and they play each other again. I think they play each other again.
I believe you're right.
Yeah. They play each other this week. Yeah, that's when they play each other again. But with Aaron Rodgers, like, look, he looked old back there. It's the first time I've visibly looked and gone, he looked old. In that play where he gets up with a bloody nose, like that's hard as fucking nails, great play. But the point where he got to that, he looked old. Like he could not escape. Like there was no athletic ability there to be able to escape or even get rid of the ball or those kind of things as well. It was a real struggle in that game. But how much of the Steelers' bad performance is just a problem with the Steelers' coaching overall? I think that one of the big reasons why the Steelers are struggling is their offensive style of play has always struggled. It's always been a defensive organization, and the defense is not playing well enough. And Jay, for a defensive line that's meant to be that good to go up against the Bills without both of their starting tackles and basically get zero pressures throughout the whole game, how much of a worry is that for the Steelers that they build this on defense and they couldn't get to Josh Allen at all?
Okay, so both tackles and their guard was injured.
Yeah.
Both tackles out and an injured guard, and you couldn't get any pressure. So it is a worry. It is a worry for the team. The only reason I think they even have a shot at the playoffs is because they're in a shitty division.
Yeah, which was meant to be one of the stronger divisions going into this.
You had the Burrow injury, Lamar, and the Ravens haven't looked good, and then the Browns just be doing Brown shit.
Yeah, and I mean the Burrow injury looks like it came at a good time for the Steelers and the Ravens, because all of a sudden the Bengals look so much better with Burrow on the field as well. So yeah, but with the Steelers as well, we heard at the end of the game chance for Mike Tomlin to be fired, which, Jay, I don't think that's personally. I think chanting for your coach to be fired, like one of your best coaches of all time to be fired at the end of games who provides you winning seasons, I think that's a bad look from the fans, but I really do understand their frustration.
This is what the Steelers do, though. Remember, what was the offensive coordinator? Canada. Fire Canada. Yeah, every game, Matt Canada was being chanted to be fired. It's just a Steeler thing.
Yeah. So, Jay, do you think the Steelers are right? The Steelers fans are right to be asking for Mike Tomlin to be fired. Do you think it is time for Tomlin to go from Pittsburgh?
This is an honest answer, right? And you all know, everybody who's watched this knows I'm a Tomlin fan, and I'm probably a little homerish because he was a Vikings coach and I got to meet him and he had a conversation with us. So, but let's see how this season finishes. That's what I think decides if you should go. And I don't have a problem with fans feeling like he's got to go because you're a fan. It stands for fanatic. That's absolutely how you should feel. I go on the Vikings roller coaster all the time with emotions. So I don't think the fans are wrong. But I think before anybody really thinks they should pull the trigger, what if they make the playoffs, they go on a little bit of run, and they go in the AFC Championship game, and they lose on the last drive of the game to one of the great quarterbacks in the AFC? Do you still want Mike Tomlin fired, no matter what his regular season record was? Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of thing. I'm like, let's just see how it plays out. But no, I think as a fan, you watch this movie over and over, right? You're just barely over 500, or you sneak into the playoff. I get why it's frustrating. And you haven't really had a team since Big Ben's third to last year. You haven't had a really good team. I get it. But right now I say take a deep breath because you can still make the playoffs. You make the playoffs, you never know what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers haven't had a playoff win in 10 years. So 2016 was their last playoff win, and they still have the same coach in the building. That's where I'm a bit. And, we've spoke about it with Tomlin, with Harbaugh. It gets to a point where the same voice in the building does become an issue. And I do think Mike Tomlin is a defensive coach, right? But the culture that he creates, I think, is leading to their big problems on the offensive side of the ball as well. I think Steelers fans can be very rightly angry at how good George
Elaborate,
Pickens.
please.
Sorry, go on. Elaborate,
please. What do you mean by his culture?
So I think like the culture of we are defense first. We run defense first. Okay. We take no risks on offense. We don't risk anything.
No, I didn't know what you meant by culture. I get what you're saying now. I was like, do you think the locker room's toxic?
No. Yeah, okay. Tomlin's one of the best like culture. Look, I think if Mike Tomlin gets sacked, I think he gets a job immediately for next season. Like the Dolphins, that would make the most sense. Like, sorry,
Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee, the Dolphins, like those places where it's okay, we need someone to just come in here and build a culture first. Like that's what we need. That's where Mike Tomlin goes. That makes loads of sense. And John Harbaugh probably goes to the other one.
Well, that's it. Like, right, these guys are really great managers of the game, right?
Yeah.
And it's like if you are an organization that needs an adult in the room, like the culture you were talking about, if you need an adult in the room, these are the guys you go hire, right? That's why I'm so baffled that Tennessee fired Vrabel. That's the kind of guy we're talking about with the culture. So, no, I agree with you. And I also agree that if you fail to make the playoffs or you get one and done, it's absolutely reasonable to ask for Mike Tomlin to be fired. Yeah. I just say take a deep breath, because if you make the AFC Championship game, nobody's getting fired.
I do think if I was a Steelers fan, and we've seen it with the Canadian, who is obviously, as you say, fan stands for fanatic, and the Canadian is one of the most fanatic fans that I've seen. So
shout out Izzy.
Shout out Izzy. But he very rightly has pointed out that as a Steelers fan, it must be so fucking frustrating watching George Pickens in Dallas. Right, because everybody in the league has said George Pickens is a number one wide receiver, is an amazing talent, and I have no idea why he's not succeeding in the Steelers. It's because they don't take any risk. It's because their offensive scheme is no risk, and that means they get no reward from guys like George Pickens, and that's not what the NFL is right now, and that's where I think Tomlin has to go if you want to go to the next step, because you need a different voice in the building.
I think where they fucked up with Pickens is they were so scared after the last two knucklehead receivers they had in the locker room, and one of them is now being charged with attempted murder, that I think they got scared. But I don't think Pickens is that type of knucklehead, right? I think he was just pissed off. I think he was pissed off he wasn't being used. I think he was pissed off the way people were making him look into the media, and I think he needed a change. So I'm not making excuses for them, but I think that's where they messed up. I think they got too scared and they bailed. And you're absolutely right. They did not get him the ball. And it should have been in their offensive plan like last year. Look, we suck. Just throw the ball up to Pickens.
Yeah, and you saw it a little bit with Russell Wilson when he first stepped in. So it was Justin Fields started the season, and then Russell Wilson comes in and starts throwing those moon balls up to George Pickens, and you go, okay, that's it. And then they went away from it because they started to be intercepted again. And you could see Mike Tomlin probably went, look, we can't have interceptions. That's not the way we win football games. We saw it with Pete Carroll. You see it with Pete Carroll in his Seahawks team and stuff, where they create this amazing wide receiver room and they don't play to that strength because they don't take the risk. And so Mike Tomlin isn't the offensive guy, but it's his philosophy on football that means they're not taking those risks. And it's why, when you couple that with Aaron Rodgers losing some arm strength and him in his last years in Green Bay had the shortest average yardage attempt a throw in the NFL as well. So you have Aaron Rodgers with this short throw philosophy, Mike Tomlin not wanting to take any risks. Are we surprised that the Steelers offense is stagnant? And also Arthur Smith's their offensive coordinator, and we saw what he did in the Falcons with as many weapons as he had there. He wasn't great. He wasn't great there either. So I don't think we should be too surprised by that. Jay, on the other side of the ball, the Bills looked good. James Cook went off for 144 yards in the game as well. Is the Bills' offense efficient enough to make it to the playoffs? Their playoff run-in is pretty tough, and their playoff situation right now, they're on the outside looking in. Oh no, they're like the 7th seed currently.
Okay, so 3 of these teams will get in. Who do you have more faith in? The Bills, the Jags, or the Colts? So it's one or the other. The Texans or the Chargers. I still think the Bills are one of those 3 teams in the wild card spot. And if you want to throw the Chiefs in there, but the Chiefs are 2 games behind. So I think the Chiefs might be done. So, but I still have faith that the Bills get in there, but it's not a given. And at the beginning of the year, I think we all would have thought it was a given. And we probably all thought they were going to win the AFC East, and the Patriots look fucking amazing. But so do they have enough to get in the playoffs? Yes, but I don't think they have enough to make any serious run. Yeah, you can win a game, but I don't think you make the Super Bowl with the way this team is playing.
Yeah, I think the big question for them is offensive efficiency, right? Like they have the Bengals next, which the Bengals offense, although the Ravens somehow managed to make them look good, the Bengals defense, is still one of the worst in the NFL.
Bro, the Bengals defense was on fucking fire. Okay, so when I said the defense will have a Joe Burrow effect, I did not think that was what was going to happen.
That was mad. I don't know whether we'll see that against the Bills in this game, but then they've got the Patriots, then they've got the Browns, they've got the Eagles, and the Jets are like okay defensively as well. But the Pats, the Browns, and the Eagles, the question there is, are you efficient enough? Will the Bills be committed enough to the run? Because that's where they've been successful this year. James Cook has been unbelievable, and they went through. If they don't make the playoffs this year, it's because of that stretch of 4 games where they forgot that they could give the ball to James Cook. That's what will cost them if they don't make the playoffs this year. So, can they get the ball to James Cook? Can they continue with to be efficient on offense? Because when you're doing that, it means that the Bills' run defense, is hidden away as well, because the Bills' run defense is horrendous, and the Steelers, it was amazing that they didn't manage to make more of that as well. The Bills' pass defense is okay now, but yeah, I still think the Bills probably are the one that I trust to get in the most out of the ones on the outside looking in. Jay, the Washington Commanders went up against the Denver Broncos in a game that was way closer than any of us thought it was going to be, I think, going into that one. Nick Bonito having to make a play on the last play of the game. By the way, what a play, and what a player Nick Bonito is, by the way. Jay, how do the Broncos keep on winning these one-score games? And is that a good thing for them, winning all of these one-score games? Because people frame it as a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, you build learning how to win in pressure situations, but you shouldn't be going to 1-score games with Marcus Mariota. You just shouldn't. And that defense is like carrying them at times. I really have questions about Peyton's offensive calling in the middle of games. Can you sustain winning football in the playoffs playing the way they are? That's the question I think a lot of people have. And I think that's why in those power rankings that got sent into the group chat, they are so low in those power rankings. Because I don't think like the guys at ESPN and the NFL who make these power rankings have faith in them in the playoffs. And I do think you keep playing that kind of football, and sooner or later you get burned, and you get burned in the playoffs, your season's over. So I think they're good enough to make some noise, but the way they play call and they can't put teams away kind of makes me nervous for them when it goes to a playoff run. Don't get me wrong. I say nervous as in, like, oh, they might lose, but I don't like Sean Payton. So, I mean, I hope they lose.
Yeah, I think with the Broncos, they are building those habits of winning games in those one-score games. And I think that's a really important habit to have, and I think it's great. I'm sure they would prefer to have a comfortable game once in a while. Like I'm sure they would prefer the Commanders on a primetime game. I'm sure they would prefer to be walking in and just walking out with a 14-point win and not having to worry about it.
If the Commanders wanted, they could have made that a tie.
Yeah, the Commanders actually went like straight in for the win. They just didn't want to take it to overtime, right? But the which I actually quite like as a play call. The play call, like they also
that wasn't overtime.
Sorry, it already went into overtime.
Yeah, so they would have just ended at a tie if they kicked the extra point.
Yeah.
But I'm with Dan Campbell, win or lose, right here. Like or Dan Quinn, I'm with you. But I'm just saying that's how close that game was. Is that you could have tied the Commanders with Marcus Mariota, which is scary for that offense too. That you couldn't put a team that had such a weak defense away. That's all,
Yeah, and actually the Commanders made the right call. Like the play that gets blown up by Nick Bonito is just an amazing play by Nick Bonito. Like the actual play call, the guy who I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but the throw that Marcus Mariota was making, it was there. It was there. They'd won that game. They'd won that game, and Nick Bonito comes out of nowhere unblocked and makes a crazy play to win the game.
I think we need people with different British accents to say Nick Bonito's name every episode.
Yeah, just bring on.
Because we need that Scouser and like just the way you guys say Nick Bonito. We need that in the Scouser and all of that.
Yeah. I think one of the more memorable names in the NFL, I've realized, Nick Bonito, because people don't watch. I don't watch a lot of the Broncos, but I know his name always rings a bell whenever it's coming on, and he's an amazing player, and I've been watching him a lot more since the Broncos have been good this year. I've been watching a lot more of the Broncos, but I think the Broncos making those, like getting those wins in those one-score games builds great habits going into the playoffs, which is great. It's just in the regular season you want some games off, right? And they've proved in those one-score games against good teams that they come out and win the one-score games against good teams. So I'm not sure about it meaning they're going to get burned in the playoffs, but it does mean that you've basically been playing nail biters all year, and
how much harder
eventually sits in.
How much harder is it getting the playoffs? You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying is you play with fire and you're fucking around, you might get burned.
Yeah, and it's like you've worked so much harder to get to the playoffs than teams that are putting those teams away every week. It's like surely the mental drain of like playing 16 games that are all close is a struggle. Is a struggle as well. But I think it's a good thing. I think people framing it as they're playing all of these one-score games and stuff, and they're winning them. But is that a good thing? I think it is a good thing. I do overall, but
I agree that it builds that ruggedness you need. It just gets scary for the team because one bad mistake and you lose that game. You know what I mean? And then I just felt like with that Commanders defense, they were going to put more points up than they did. So it makes me question, and I don't think it's the players. It makes me question Sean Payton's philosophy on how he's calling the games.
Yeah, I agree. I really think he just doesn't let Bo Nix off the leash until he has to, right? And Bo Nix comes up with it and has been coming up with it every single time this season in the fourth quarter. And everybody's saying, what's the difference? What's the difference? It's the play calling is different. Like they allow Bo Nix to throw the ball down the field. That's what happens in the fourth quarter for the Denver Broncos. Is Bo Nix is actually a very good quarterback. That's what's happening here. And I think if the Broncos get another stud wide receiver, Cortland Sutton's been like everybody. If you're a Denver Broncos fan, you kind of say Cortland Sutton is an ex wide receiver. Number one wide receiver, and then everybody else in the league goes, okay, I can see if you're looking at him, Cortland Sutton, you go, okay, yeah, he should be, but where's the production? It's never there. Like the production is never there. And actually, Troy Franklin is the guy that they've been thrown to. So if I'm the Broncos, I'm going and getting Bo Nix another weapon on the outside in the draft, and next year, I'm letting Bo Nix off the leash a little bit more, which maybe that's what Sean Payton's plan is, to just get him ingratiated into that speed. Jay, I realized that I haven't put it on there, but sorry. You've already slated Marcus Mariota already. He's played some decent games for the Commanders, I think, so far this season. Do you think he's a viable starter in the NFL for a team next year?
if you're a shitty team that doesn't have a quarterback, but I don't think he's like going on a team and having a Sam Darnold type season. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think that's happening. But yeah, and he's one of the better backups, but it's just like, I guess it's not even really trying to shit on him, but it's like you're playing that bad of a Commanders defense and Jaden Daniels isn't there and you can't put him away. Like, that was kind of my point. It wasn't so much of shitting on Marcus Mariota. Like, he's serviceable. He's good. He still throws a pretty decent, or he throws a good intermediate and short, and he still throws an okay deep ball. I like him to be more accurate on his deep balls, but, you know, whatever. I mean, yeah, he's serviceable, really good backup, but I just think you're in trouble if he's your starting quarterback because that means shit went bad for you.
Yeah, and he's actually very good in those like third down spots because of his athleticism as well. Like, he is still able to run the ball very effectively. He's actually just a very good Jaden Daniels backup.
In the last couple of weeks, we got to see the number 1 and the number 2 player from that draft play in Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota.
Yeah. Beautiful. And play okay, you know, like actually.
Jameis was fun to watch. That's all I'm going to give. Jameis was fun to watch.
I'd love watching Jameis Winston. I really do think Jameis Winston I think the NFL should make it mandatory. If you're like the worst team in the NFL, you have to start Jameis Winston.
He'd have been better than Justin Fields.
Yeah, exactly. Because at least you're having fun. Like, I do think there is a lot of merit into, if you're a shit offense, just instead of saying, okay, we just need someone to look after the ball, instead of saying that, just say, well, let's just have some fun with it and see what happens. Like, I do think there's a lot of merit to that. So I do think Jameis Winston is worth a starting job in the NFL as well. With Marcus Mariota, I think if you're like, instead of the Jets going out and getting Mendoza and getting him killed in a shitty organization, right? Go get a Marcus Mariota, like just a guy who can play decent level of football while you build everything around him and you build there and then go draft your guy after. But if you're the Browns or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, a Marcus Mariota works really well there. And it's the same with Mac Jones. It's the same with, who's the other guy that I was meant to say that? But anyway, it's the same with Mac Jones. It's the same as Marcus Mariota. Like, those guys who came in and played backup and played well in the league so far this season. If you're a team and you go, okay, I want the rookie, but my system just isn't good enough, my organization just isn't good enough, I think Marcus Mariota is worth a call to the Commanders. And to be honest, if I was the Commanders, I'd be fighting to keep him because he's a really great replacement for Jaden Daniels with the play style that they both have. And Jaden Daniels has an injury problem as well. So I think Marcus Mariota did have a really good game and has put his foot forward to being maybe a guy that could get a starting job in the NFL. Jay, just a couple of things before we head to the break. Shall we talk? I've got a nice surprise for you at the end, but first we'll talk Max Brosmer. First, so we'll get the bads out the way with the Vikings game against the Seattle Seahawks. Jay, how do you evaluate Max Brosmer? Is it how kind of disappointing was that performance?
I don't know if it's disappointing because it's like either you hit gold or that's what you expect, right? Like either you hit gold or that's what you expected from an undrafted rookie going up against that defense. Like, I was already convinced they were going to lose. I was just hoping he'd have a better game than that. But I don't know. It's like I said, you either hit gold or you're like, okay, that's about what probably should have happened against that Seahawks defense. Yeah, and I don't think I'm not saying it would have changed anything, but I don't know what's up with Addison dropping balls. I don't know what's up with fucking Jefferson dropping balls. I don't know what's going on with that.
Those dropped balls, the one from Addison that I'm thinking of, that
on third down.
Third down early in the game, right?
Yes. He looked like he was starting to heat up a little, and yes.
It's the kind of thing where it's like, as a rookie quarterback, if you get that third down, if you get that completion, then
maybe life's different. Yes,
you just have a little bit, and we're not going to say that maybe he throws fucking 2 interceptions rather than 4, or whatever he had, 4 turnovers in the game or something. That first interception, when he threw that first interception, I was like, that's ugly. Like, that's a really ugly one where he tries to flip it out. The Seahawks defense was always going to be a rough place for him to go to, and the Vikings offense isn't playing as well as it has been, and that look, we've said it quite a lot, actually. The amount of drops that JJ McCarthy has had against him would probably have his completion percentage up by about 10%, and would make the completion percentage and the accuracy chat very different if his accuracy and his completion percentage is up 10%, and he's probably forcing a bit less stuff because they're moving the ball down the field. So the Vikings need to get that sorted. JJ McCarthy looks like he's coming back in this week, and I think the Max Brosmer experiment was fun. And Jay, whoever is the head of PR for the Vikings, did a fucking excellent job of getting everybody excited about Brosmer. Whoever that was, saying like they found a gem, they found a gem. There are very few hidden gems.
There's one called Tom Brady.
Yeah, but that was 20 years ago, like now.
Okay, every
single game.
I think Andrew Van Ginkel was undrafted.
I meant at quarterback.
Okay, but that's but it's not that there's no gems, it's nobody develops them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Because I think that's a lot of it. I think a lot of teams, and I'm not saying this happened to Brosmer, but I think a lot of teams ruin guys instead of helping them develop.
Yeah, actually, I think that's...
And that's the thing. I don't think the Vikings give up on him. I think they like him, and I think they looked at him as a career backup. So, I think when they got him, they were looking in the preseason and this is a kid that can develop to be an 8-year backup for this team more than a starter,
Yeah, and Jay, the Seahawks are just a really fucking good football team, so I don't think that should define his NFL career, that one game against the Seahawks. But I think JJ McCarthy comes in next week. I'm hoping that JJ McCarthy actually has a good game against the Commanders. I'm on the ebb here in fantasy football because I've got Caleb Williams and I've got JJ McCarthy, and it's like Caleb's going up against the Packers defense, and JJ's going up against the Commanders, and if Jordan Addison can actually catch a fucking football, then they might actually be a lot of fantasy.
I'm in a weird spot with it because I'll always cheer for them to win, but I won't be mad if they lose.
Yeah, actually,
we're so close to the end of the season. It's like, we're already fucked. So maybe we just go for a draft pick at this point, But I do want to see McCarthy play well.
Yeah, what you want is the defense to be shocking and JJ McCarthy come out and play well. That's what the Vikings should really want by the end of the season. And then Jay, your nice surprise after that was, do you want to take your victory lap on the San Francisco 49ers versus the Cleveland Browns?
No, because I actually think my pick of the fucking Bengals over the Ravens was even better.
That was impressive. That was very good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just don't understand. I don't think it's even taking long. I just don't understand your hate for the 49ers. You have this weird dislike for the 49ers, or you don't believe in them at all. And when you're talking about them, all I think in my head is Shanahan, McCaffrey. Yep, I'm going with the four. It's that simple for me.
Yeah, I think that's what I need to learn. I think to be honest, what I said would happen did actually kind of happen. The Browns defense had them. It's just the Browns special teams make a fucked up play, and then the Browns offense turns over the ball in a manner.
And they're not good enough yet. The offense isn't good enough.
Yeah, the offense isn't good enough yet. For some reason, they were putting Shador Sanders into big loads of drop back passing when the 49ers have one of the worst interior defenses up against the run. When you've got
Judkins is having a game too.
Yeah, exactly. You keep on just give the ball to Judkins the whole time. That's all you needed to do. And it's not like Shador played badly. It was just, it was pretty fucking windy by all accounts. Brock Purdy wasn't exactly throwing the ball as crisp as possible either. I think what I said would happen. It's just I also forgot in that the Browns are the Browns. And Christian McCaffrey has one play a game where he's just unstoppable no matter what. And chances are he'll have 20 plays in the game where he does that, but it's just in that it only takes one when the Browns are being the Browns. But that was weird. But the 49ers, I think, are getting healthier. They look really great. They could make a run for the NFC Championship, really. I wouldn't be that surprised if the 49ers ended up in the NFC Championship this year. I think that felt like a bad spot.
Yeah, it depends on the seeding with this NFC, right? Who does LA play? Who does San Francisco play? Does Tampa ruin somebody's season? That kind of shit,
Yeah, if the Cowboys get in there, does anybody want to go up against the Cowboys team currently? Because if they get in there, chances are they've just won every single game.
Again,
as well
me and Rob, my tattoo artist, today we're talking about how it's crazy that George Pickens is better than CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, not this week, but we will get onto that in the second.
I just think overall, I think George Pickens is a freak, and I think he's better, and that's not a shot at CD. That's just how good George Pickens. He might be the best receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, those X-wide receivers are like CeeDee Lamb is so good of a number. He does the role of a number 2 in the slot so well that he is a number 1, right? Like he is a number 1 because he does that role of what number 2 does so well. But George Pickens does the number 1 job just excellent. So he's kind of a difference maker. But Jay, we will get on to the Dallas Cowboys in the second half of the show. Guys, stay with us where we'll be awarding our Week 13 MVP and Rookie MVP. I'll be asking Jay a question for all GMs. We'll have our Week 13 overreactions before looking ahead to Thursday Night Football with the Detroit Lions going up against the Dallas Cowboys. And we'll be giving you our Week 14 best bets. So stay tuned. But to power us on this show, there is one thing that we are desperate for, and that is a coffee.
Me and Jay set up the Yankee and the Brit nearly 5 years ago. And in that time, we've gone up to about 7 shows a week. And with the help of our loyal community, we've been able to keep growing. But we want to grow even more. And that's why just giving $5 or £5 could really help us out in our Buy Me a Coffee fund. And all you have to do is hit the Buy Me a Coffee link in our YouTube descriptions. That'll be on every single video. You can give £5, $5. You can give it once, you can give it every month. And what that does is it allows us to grow and even buy ourselves a coffee every once in a while.
All right, guys, so if you're looking to support us, make sure to hit the QR code in the top of the screen or go down to the link in the video description and you can buy us a coffee. I always enjoy the little water break that I'm able to go on now.
Yeah, well, because it's 6 o'clock here, I'm still drinking a cappuccino, but it is decaf.
Yeah, I have to go for my. I hit my coffee to. I always hit my coffee to start these shows. It's 11 here. I'm in the UK, not Latvia, so I'm not starting at 1 in the morning this time, which is great. But the issue is England are currently playing Australia in the cricket, so I have been up since 4 a.m. Because I'm also on Australia time.
And how you guys call it in the cricket, but okay.
In the cricket, good game. Good game. Joe Root just scored his first 100, and I know that means nothing to any of you, but he scored his first 100 in Australia. So get in, Joe Root. I'll be watching that after the Dallas Cowboys finish. I'll basically not be going to sleep because of what's going on. But, you know, that's why I need your support, guys, with a coffee. So make sure to hit the link or go to the QR code. And Jay, let's move on to our Week 13 MVP and Rookie MVP. These guys did not need any caffeine to pop off this week. Jay, who is your Week 13 Rookie MVP?
All right, so we're going to head to Chicago. I got a bunch of running backs I could have went through, but Monin guy, running back for the Bears, balled out. So that's who my Rookie MVP is.
Jay, guys, we don't show each other these before we do anything. Jay, I've also gone for Kyle Monungai as my Rookie MVP this week. He was just so good in that game and really took over. 130 yards off 22 attempts, going into Philly and taking control there. I think is just so impressive. And he's a 7th round pick and is coming in and is running hard. And he allows DeAndre Swift to be better, I think, is the biggest part of that, because he takes the things that DeAndre Swift doesn't do well and he does them excellently, which allows DeAndre Swift to be that kind of big play guy. So Carmen guy, congratulations, Rookie MVP this week. And Jay, who is your Week 13 MVP of the entire league?
So we're going to take it down to Tampa Bay. Punter Riley Dixon. Yep, I said it. Punter Riley Dixon punted 5 times for an average of 48 yards. He placed 3 of them inside the 20. He placed 2 of them inside the 10, and in the final end of the game, he hit a 59-yard punt to flip the field and seal that win in a close game for Tampa Bay. Let's give some love to some punters. So that's Riley Dixon, punter, Tampa Bay. You didn't see that coming, did you?
No, didn't see that at all. And we don't have the same one on this one. Jay giving love to the punters. And Jay, I would say out of the sports shows that I watch that cover American football, we give the most love to the special teams, I think. The most love to the kickers.
Besides Pat McAfee, but he's a punter.
He doesn't count. That's not fair.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, besides Pat McAfee, but the love to the special teams and the kickers, they're such an important part of the game. And I remember when we had like a really strong argument as to who was more important, the kicker or the punter, and I would say they're equally as important. But in the past few weeks, we've seen some good punting performances.
Way to keep that argument at a minimum right there.
I would say we've seen some really great punting performances over the last couple of weeks that have reminded everybody how good the punters are, with how crazy the field goal kickers have become from kicking beyond 50, beyond 60, depending on which field goal kicker you've got at the moment as well. Jay, my NFL Week 13 MVP is CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb coming out 112 yards against Kansas City. And what it was for me is it was some really big catches and some big moments in a game where the Chiefs managed to keep George Pickens quiet. And he's come out of the shadow of George Pickens in those games, has really suffered against the Eagles, really suffered from the drop bug since coming back, and played really well in that game. And when you see that two-headed monster at the wide receiver position for Dallas, you do think, how the fuck do we stop that going forward? So CeeDee Lamb, MVP of Week 13 for me. Good MVPs this season. Let's move on to GMJ, which is where I get to ask our resident GM of the podcasting platform that we have, Jay, a question that I want to ask all NFL GMs. And Jay, this week, my question is, when is the best time, when is the right time to fire an NFL coach? Would you rather fire them like early in the season, or just wait till the end of the season? With special looks to the guys on the hot seat: Mike Tomlin, Mike McDaniels, Raheem Morris, John Harbaugh, and Zach Taylor.
I'm glad you put McDaniel in there, because that was my caveat. I think you're better off waiting until the end of the season, right? And then you fire the coach, because you're not going to fire him, spark some run to the playoffs, and then win the Super Bowl. So instead of turning everything upside down, unless he's a cancer in some cases, I get that. Mike McDaniel is the only exception. I think he should have been fired already. I think he should have been gone. I think they should have just cut bait. I don't think you have anything else you can do down there. And to me, they're the team where they're the most disappointing with the talent they have on the team. They should have been better. And I think we've been saying it for a few years now. And yes, his run game sticks out with David Achane, because that's what he did best. But this mad genius that we all thought was going down there, I just don't think that's what it is. And I think they already knew, and I think he should have been gone already.
Yeah, I think the problem with Mike McDaniel is the fact that he's currently got a run game that's so good, and they're going for a run of the bottom of the AFC is shit, like is full of some really bad teams, and they're currently going on that run right now. And it's at the point where now the fans might actually be a bit disappointed if you do sack Mike McDaniel. It was something that we spoke about at the start of the season. It was something that we spoke about, 6 games in after the GM got fired, where we were talking about how it's, that one of the big problems with Mike McDaniel is if he plays well enough, you could not want to sack him by the end. And he's starting to get into that point. So I agree with you. Maybe it would have been best to get rid of Mike McDaniel. And
Zach Taylor should have been fired 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, Zach Taylor is just not very good. And Raheem Morris, we'll talk about, but we'll say something later. But Raheem Morris, I think as well, is terrible. As well.
Yeah, that's why I say, but you wait till the end of the season, because what do you do? What benefit does Atlanta have to firing him now? So it's not like you're gonna hire whoever takes over as an interim head coach anyway. So I just say wait till the end of the season in most cases, except Mike McDaniel should have been gone in the middle of the year and Zach Taylor should have been gone 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think one of the big reasons why you wait till the end of the season as well is you don't want to give your new head coach the hangover from a terrible season from the season before. Like it already creates a bad taste in the mouth going into his first real season. If like he's come in and hasn't won a game because just the team is terrible. So yeah, I agree with you. Wait till the end of the season. So patience, guys, if you have any of those. And Jay, our final piece on week 13 is overreactions. Jay, what is your overreaction in NFL week 13?
The officiating is so bad that the NFL is going to be forced to change it because they are going to get a class action lawsuit from gamblers.
That's been one of your things so much recently. Jay, what is the decision that made you go, yeah, that's it?
They are so bad. I watched this week, right? Bad calls up and down like every week. The field goal pissed me off. It's like they have this ability to fix all of these problems, and they're not. And I think at some point, some gambler is going to start a class action lawsuit against them. And I think they'll actually win because they're going to show that the NFL could have kept this from being a problem, and they're doing nothing about it. And Chris Sims is beating the table with me on this one. Like, pay them, make them full-time, quit being cheap. This is awful. And it shouldn't. We're adding more technology, and it's getting worse every year.
Yeah, it's also why are they all 80? Why do we have the oldest guys like that we could possibly find running it? Because it's a game.
The American way. Have you seen our last two presidents?
I think that's a fair point. It's not just the American way, unfortunately. It's the whole problem. But yeah, I do think that's a big issue with it as well. And you're not giving the incentive to guys coming out of college to come and be referees and
nobody wants to do it for $100,000 a year. Like that used to be a lot of money. It's not anymore. Like $100,000 isn't life changing anymore. Make them full time, pay them a couple $100,000 a year, give them raises as I think performance based raises or bonuses, right? If you're a ref and you could do a scoring system even, and if you score over X, you get a $50,000 bonus. The NFL can afford that kind of shit.
Yeah, and it's the big key is the technology here as well. The NFL as a game really suits the technology. I think it actually does suit it quite well. So yeah, bring it. Use the technology
because it's a slower game. That was always the argument. Like baseball, football, these games could use more technology because of the pace of the game.
Yeah, they should go watch. They really should go watch the implementation. I'm always surprised. So all the other sports around the world watch the NFL to see how to market things really well, because that's what the NFL do the best. The NFL are the best at making money from their sport on the planet, because
year round now too. Yeah, year round.
Yeah, because if you go look at the kind of how many people watch the sport compared to how much money is made from the sport, the NFL is easily the most money per viewer.
They figured out how to make the schedule release a big deal when we all know the opponents as soon as the season ends.
Yeah, and it's that is crazy. So all the other sports go and watch the NFL for stuff like that. But what I never understand is why it always seems like the NFL doesn't go and watch other sports and how they do things, because there's always things in there's things in rugby that I'm like, if you brought that into the NFL, it would be a right game changing play. It would be very, very good. The NFL ain't boring like Premier League and Champions League and stuff like that.
You tell them. Maddie and I go back and forth about soccer all the time. You let them know.
I don't understand. I don't understand how that actually goes with that.
You brought up the NFL and you brought up soccer, and he felt he needed to let you know.
Yeah, but he's also picked
the NFL is king. That's all.
He's just picked the one sport that actually does make more money than the NFL. He's picked the one.
No. I just Googled this for our argument. The NFL made 20. You guys were at 6. The NFL was at 26 last year. Billion.
Okay. Anyway, we don't need to go into that whole thing. Baseball is boring. Baseball is maybe the only sport that I don't really. And then
Racing's not a sport, it's a skilled activity. Racing's not a sport, it's a skilled activity. Don't get me going. It's not a sport, it's a skilled activity. It's like the spelling bee.
But anyway, so my point is, why don't the NFL go watch other sports and see how they do the officiating with the technology? Because I do think there's other sports, when you go and watch them, they do the officiating with the technology is very good. Rugby, for example, the officiating with the technology is pretty solid. VAR is a big problem in football. People actually hate it. That's more of a nostalgic issue.
You just got American slapped. That's what happened.
Yeah, what the hell just happened?
That was an American slap. That's all I want you to know.
This guy basically just went like every other sport is garbage apart from the NFL. And I mean, we host an NFL podcast, so I'm happy that you think that, and I'm happy that you're here.
I love the NHL too, but okay.
I literally would just. That's another sport that does the technology actually okay. Ice hockey.
Yeah. Hockey was one of the first American sports to even make that push, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, so the NFL just needs to go and learn from other sports in the same way that other sports look at the NFL. Like, the answers are already out there. The answers to your problem are already there. Just go look and go implement them somewhere else. Like,
Maddie, my overreaction got you on a rant. That's how bad the NFL is right now.
Yeah, it hits me every single time. Jay, my overreaction is actually quite funny this week because you've already kind of hinted towards it, but with a different team. Jay, my overreaction this week is the Atlanta Falcons are the worst team in the NFL compared to the talent that is on their roster. They are underperforming the most compared to the talent that's on their roster. They just lost to the Jets when Bijan Robinson put up like 140 yards rushing. Like, how do they do that? How are the Falcons that bad?
So, and that's all just on top of the Falcons winning or losing, the Jets winning and maybe fucking up the first overall pick is the most Jet shit ever. So, like, that was funny to me also. But they're so bad right now in Atlanta, and they botched the quarterback thing off the jump. They have a decent defense, and they don't know how to play defense and run I'm not saying they're as good, but maybe you take a page out of fucking Sean Payton's book on how to game plan, because you got a great running back, you got a good defense, and you still can't figure out how to win games.
Yeah, it's just the thing is they did botch the quarterback thing, but in that game, Kirk Cousins threw for 234 yards.
No, I'm not saying he was the problem. I'm just showing all the fucked up things they've done as an organization.
How do you lose a game how do you lose a game to the Jets when your quarterback throws for 234 yards and your running back, who's one of the top running backs in the league, ran for 142 yards? Like, how do you do that? That's I don't understand. When they also, by the stats, have one of the best pass defenses in the NFL and one of the best run defenses in the NFL. How do they still lose that game? And all I'm saying is, how has Raheem Morris still got a job? And I get sacking him at the end of the season, but it just blows my mind every time I watch the Falcons. And I watch them a lot because Bijan Robinson is my hope on fantasy.
Natty. Mike Tomlin to Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, if he relinquishes his offensive problems, I'd be more on board with kind of John Harbaugh to Atlanta.
No, but think about this. Who better to go in there and get the best out of Bijan Robinson, make it a run game, play defense, and have a guy, maybe you even keep Cousins, to just manage that off. That's a Mike Tomlin setup right there. That's a fucking dream for Mike Tomlin. I don't know. I agree with what you're saying with Harbaugh, but I'm just saying that fits exactly what Tomlin does.
My main thing, if I was the Falcons owner,
and you need an adult,
if I was the Falcons owner, I'd be Mike McCarthy. That's not a bad shout either. It's got to be an offensive guy for me because that's their problem in Atlanta, and for me, it's go get John Harbaugh and Kyler Murray.
Well, John Harbaugh's a special teams guy.
Yeah, but he's run great. He's run great offense. The Ravens have had great offenses while he's been
I knew what you meant, but yeah.
He doesn't mind having an offensive coordinator just take over and go for it. So you can get John Harbaugh in the room and then bring in Kyler Murray, and you think, what better guy to sort out Kyler Murray than the guy who built Lamar Jackson?
Haven't you heard the news?
No?
According to every talking head I've seen, is Kyler Murray's going to the Vikings to replace J.J. McCarthy next year.
I mean, sure. Like,
That's all I've heard. I think it's ridiculous statement. I think it's ridiculous, and there's no way I think they pay that contract to Kyler Murray. But that's what I've been hearing all week. So I guess somebody already let everybody know.
I actually think Kevin O'Connell likes J.J. McCarthy too much to give up on him.
I don't know what to think of J.J. McCarthy, but I know it's been 6 games. That's what I know.
Yeah. So some good overreactions this week, and that is the end of week 13 in our rundowns. I hope you enjoyed spending week 13 with us. Let's move on to week 14 in the NFL. And Jay, it is Thursday night football. The Dallas Cowboys are going up against the Detroit Lions in Detroit. There is bad blood between these two teams. There has been a mini rivalry since the game where Dan Skipper's touchdown got disallowed. Last season, the Detroit Lions came into AT&T Stadium, put up about 50 points, I think, and were trying to score touchdowns to their offensive linemen for fun and making a point and making a joke. There is bad blood in this game. The Detroit Lions are 3.5-point favorites at home against the Dallas Cowboys. Jay, is this an early playoff game for both teams? Do both teams really need this to make the playoffs?
Do you think they both need it to make the playoffs? Because I think they both could still get in the playoffs and I'd have to go back look at the schedule, but I think the Lions got a pretty decent way on the way out. I think this is going to be an amazing game either way, though. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch. I think it's going to be a close game, and I don't think that Vegas is that far off on their spread.
Yeah, I think for this game, currently the Detroit Lions are on the outside looking in. It's largely obviously because the Packers and the Bears are in their division as well. But the Lions currently have a 40% chance of making the NFL playoffs. If they win this game, that goes up to 53% chance of making it. And if they lose, it goes down to 18%. The Dallas Cowboys currently have a 19% chance of making the playoffs. If they win, though, it goes up to a 36% chance. And if they lose, it goes down to an 8% chance. So for me, this game is kind of a must-win for both teams just because of that big swing. Either way, if either of them lose this game, it's more of a must not lose rather than a must win. But because of obviously how the NFL works and how ties aren't a thing, that just turns into a must win. Right, but it's more about must not lose. Jay, in this game, we've spoken about Dan Campbell a lot and the fact that Ben Johnson is not in the building, and that has been the problem with the Detroit Lions in generating offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown seems like he's probably out with I think it was Schefter saying it's more likely that he'll be coming back next week, but he is one of the hardest guys in the NFL, so maybe he will go in this game, but it looks unlikely. Jay, how can Dan Campbell help his team generate more offense in this game?
Well, one thing Dan Campbell can do is stop making dumbass decisions and going for every fourth down on the planet. This will definitely help in the long run. But I don't know why their play calling has fallen off so much when you spent how many years with Ben Johnson and you didn't learn anything from Ben Johnson. It's the system. Like I said this a couple of episodes ago. It's like they forgot that St. Brown exists sometimes.
Yeah.
They don't generate getting the ball into his hands. It feels like they are so focused on getting it into Gibbs' hands that they forget that St. Brown's on the team.
Yeah, and it's like Jared Goff, the big play calling difference and the big thing that we've kind of diagnosed with the Lions is that Jared Goff last season had some of the best stats in the NFL in terms of against pressure. And this season, he's had some of the worst stats in the NFL against pressure. So what has happened there? It's the outball to Amon-Ra St. Brown isn't there. There's something wrong with the scheme that Amon-Ra St. Brown isn't open on those plays and they're not getting it out to him. You would think when you have Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown, you would be pretty decent against pressure. And for me, I think the biggest change from when you watch Ben Johnson with the Bears and when you watch Ben Johnson last year and the year before with the Lions is Ben Johnson is scheming out. Ben Johnson is almost scheming out plays games ahead. It's not even necessarily within the same game, but let's keep it to the same game. He's putting in stuff in the first quarter that he's going to use to beat you in the fourth quarter as well. And he's scheming across a whole game, whereas Dan Campbell seems to just be going play for play. And that's how it feels when he is play calling. And that's how it looks to me, that he's just play calling, play for play. And what he needs to do is start play calling throughout the whole game. And that's not a skill that you can learn overnight. So I would suggest if he doesn't have it, then he doesn't have it. Jay, on the other side of this, does the Dallas Cowboys focus on interior pressure, give them the solid upper hand against Jared Goff? Because that's where he's struggled the most, that pressure up the middle.
And he was last year. He was one of the best under pressure, and his stats have fallen off this year. But again, I think that's because they don't scheme to have hot routes open and different things for him. So I think there's a lot of failing him on the scheme. But I think any quarterback, that's where you have the most problems, right? You get pressure up the middle, and we've talked about how hard it is to find good D tackles, and the Cowboys have 3.
Yeah, and 3 pass rush D tackles as well, which is really important. But run blocking D tackles, Quinion Williams and Kenny Clark stop the run on the way to the quarterback. Odigizua is not as good against the run. He usually comes in and replaces Kenny Clark on the definite passing downs, and he's a really great pass rushing D tackle as well. I think that is the biggest point of the game there, that interior pressure versus the interior offensive line. Since Quinion Williams came in, the Dallas Cowboys have the second most pressure in the NFL, and they have the second best run defense in the NFL since Quinion Williams came in. And that's in games where they played against the Eagles and the Chiefs as well. Obviously, they played against the Raiders with Quinion Williams' first game, and they had pressure on pretty much every play during that game as well. So that might skew the stats a little bit, but they have played good games since then. Jay, the Detroit Lions defense has kind of been very up and down this season. Their pass rushes look pretty decent. Brian Branch, I thought, looked amazing in their last game against the Packers, but they did really struggle to stop Jordan Love. Jordan Love was just, again, amazing off that back foot throw, which is just continues to blow our minds. He's either amazing or he's terrible against pressure, and there's no in between because it's that back foot throw. Jay, do you think the Detroit Lions can stop the Dallas Cowboys offense? Because the Dallas Cowboys offense has been stellar.
The way that the Lions can stop their offense is just outscore them. That's it.
Yeah, I think if you outscore them as well, if you outscore the Dallas Cowboys will just have to go to the pass game, which they can do because Dak Prescott's been amazing, and Jordan Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, and the forgotten piece in that is Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson is actually Dak Prescott's preferred red zone target as well. So in that pass game, they have the ability to do that.
Oh, I think it's a shootout tonight.
Yeah, but the Dallas Cowboys is still the best when they pass off the run. And Dak Prescott has always been the best if he can pass off the run. And the offensive line that the Cowboys have, their pass blocking grades are not amazing. Their run blocking grades are all top 10 or top 15 in the NFL. But their pass blocking their pass blocking grades are kind of more middle of the pack. So if you can force them into passing and having to pass because you're outscoring the Dallas Cowboys, then you have a good chance of stopping the Dallas Cowboys, I think. However, Jay, I don't think they will stop them because I think the Dallas Cowboys offense is so incredibly stellar. And I think their defense has what it takes to go up against the Detroit Lions. And Jay, our Dallas Cowboys clickbait of the day, which we should clip up for shorts, is: can the Dallas Cowboys make it to the NFC Championship game with how they're currently playing?
I think there's 5 or 6 teams in the NFC that could make it to the championship game. So sure.
I think with the Dallas Cowboys and the NFC Championship game, I think they've just beat the Eagles, they've just beat the Chiefs. They can clearly beat absolutely anybody. The question is, are they too far back to actually make the playoffs? I think if the Dallas Cowboys get into the playoffs, I think we can start to get excited. Chances are their actual best route for getting into the playoffs is winning the division. They need the Eagles to lose twice to do that.
Yeah, and it's do you want to play Tampa? Do you want to play LA? Do you want to play Philly? Do you want to play Green Bay? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, right.
it's going to be, the NFC is going to be a fucking bloodbath all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the NFC is absolutely stacked. And if the Dallas Cowboys do come out winning this game and they win it in a similar fashion to they did with the Eagles and the Chiefs, then I think we could really say, look, the Cowboys can run the table and it's down to the other teams. If the Cowboys finish 11-6-1 and they miss out, it's like, okay, what did you want us to do at 11-6-1 and we still miss out on the playoffs? But if the Eagles lose against the Chargers and if the Eagles lose against the Bills, then the Cowboys win the division. I think the big thing for this game, Jay, is the Detroit Lions are at home. The Dallas Cowboys away from home have been nowhere near as good. Do you think that actually does affect them in this game?
I think it helps that both teams play in a dome, right? And sometimes just the feel of like being in a dome could help. Like I said, I think it's going to be a fucking battle. I do think that if it's that close of a game, that the crowd noise and everything can become a factor at some point. But I think it's a shootout. I think it's an exciting game. And I think we probably see 80 receiving yards and 70 rushing yards out of Gibbs. And can they remember that Amon St. Brown is one of the better players in football and get him the ball?
I'm pretty sure he's out. I'm pretty sure Amon St. Brown is out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, even before that, I was taking the Cowboys, but I still think it's going to be a close game, and I took the Cowboys because you're giving me points.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fantasy owner and you're worried about playing Jameson Williams, also, why would you be worrying about that?
And I had him at +3, so 3.5 I like.
Yeah, it was +3 this morning, and then it was +3.5 when I just checked like half an hour ago. Shall we check it now? See where the money's moving? May as well, right? Can't do this on Sundays because we've got to go through every single game while we're doing it. Yeah, it's still at 3.5. As we're going, Jay, in this game, I'm also taking the Dallas Cowboys. So we've both got the Dallas Cowboys at 3.5. I think if you're in a game where it's a shootout and it could go either way, it's a bit of a pick 'em. If you're giving me the points, I'll take the points. I actually do think the Dallas Cowboys are a better team than the Detroit Lions, though. I think in the coaching battle, the Cowboys seem to be winning hands down. I think that's the biggest problem. I'm the biggest Brian Schottenheimer fan. I've been Brian Schottenheimer since the start. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's not his name. It's Sawed-Off Shoddy. I already decided. Like,
the
hate he got was so wild to me. I was like, damn, they are hating on Shoddy. I didn't think he was the next coming of the best coach in the world, but I was like, fuck, this dude is getting hate.
Yeah, I genuinely think if you look at like kind of like the most surprising coaching performances of the year, you could have Sawed-Off Shoddy, Brian Schottenheimer in there. You can have Shane Steichen in there in terms of like the most surprising coaching performances of the year. Kind of the best, the coach of the year badge currently surely goes to Ben Johnson, surely. But Sawed-Off Shoddy, if the Dallas Cowboys make it to the playoffs, he must be in the running for coach of the season as well. But on the coaching battle, the Cowboys win. The Lions aren't the Lions of the past couple of years on the offensive side of the ball. They aren't that without Ben Johnson. And the Cowboys defense is actually much better than people realizing.
Yeah, Gibbs against your defense though scares me because I feel like if he gets out into the open and catches passes, it could be a long night. So I think that's where.
Do you know who's not got the props that he deserves, actually? Logan Wilson, the linebacker that we got from the Cincinnati Bengals, obviously traded on the same day as Quinyon Williams. He's actually been very good. Seems to have taken a leadership role already that the Dallas Cowboys were missing in the linebacker room as well. I'm the Cowboys, I'm spying Gibbs with Overshown. I think that's what I would do.
To quote you Brits, they were slagging him off, but we said it's a solid pickup, and people got to stop acting like it's like bigger or smaller than what it was. Right? It was a depth piece that really was going to probably pay off for them. I don't know why people were so like because it wasn't some blockbuster trade. Everybody was mad.
Yeah, I think everybody felt a lot better about it when Quinyon Williams came in. I think it was Jerry Jones saying, we're working on a blockbuster trade. And then it was Logan Wilson was the guy who showed up. I think that's why everybody got pissed
Fair
off.
enough.
And then it was Quinion Williams like 3 hours later, I think, is when he he got announced. Just on that, actually, I thought an interesting tidbit that people might not have seen is Jerry Jones was talking about how he was actually trying to trade Micah Parsons to the Jets for Quinion Williams. So he was trying to get a Quinion Williams one first round pick and Quinion Williams and a second rounder somewhere as well. So what he's actually ended up doing by trading him to the Packers, yes, he's gone to the Packers, which means Micah Parsons is in the NFC, and the Cowboys and the Packers don't really like each other that much. But he got 2 first-round picks, Kenny Clark. So he got Kenny Clark, Quinion Williams, and still has a first-round pick as well. So actually the trade looks even better and better and better from what Jerry Jones actually wanted. So well done, Jerry. Okay, we're both taking the Dallas Cowboys in that game. Let's look ahead to the whole of week 14 now with our best bets, guys. Our best bets have been going pretty well this season. We're 21-18 on the season, both of us, which I think is interesting that we both have the same record on these best bets, despite most of the time we actually pick completely different best bets all the way through. So Jay, who have you got as your best bets this season? Guys, I hope you're close and I hope you're lucky.
Before we get into my best bets, I told you guys last week I have ChatGPT's 3 best bets of the week for you to go along with our best bets to see how this turns out. So the ChatGPT has the Cowboys +3.
All right.
The ChatGPT has, where did it go on me?
I'm going to give them the 3.5, by the way, ChatGPT.
Okay. ChatGPT has Indianapolis -1.5.
Okay.
And ChatGPT has the Bills -6.5.
Is the Bill? I've got the Bills at -5.5, so they can have the 5.5 as well. That we've got that. But nice. Okay, that's great. That's great. I'm excited to go.
You know what? Give them the 6.5 because that's what they did, and let's just see how they do on their own picks with that. Because I did tell them to use DraftKings, but I did it yesterday.
All right. Okay. So the money must have moved.
I just want to see. I just want to see if how good ChatGPT is in this. All right, we'll go on to mine now, though.
It's not just out there on reacting to ChatGPT's picks. I don't hate that. I wasn't brave enough to put the Cowboys in mine. The Bills against the Bengals, who knows with the Bengals, so I'm a bit worried about them. The Colts and the Jags, again, the Colts are a bit rocky. The Jags seem to have picked up a little bit, but I like it. I think it makes sense. So
we'll see how good AI is at picking games. But So my first one of the week is I got Seahawks -7.5 at Atlanta.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about even that 7.5 with how bad that team has looked.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good one.
I got Cleveland -4.5 at Tennessee. That defense is amazing, and they actually look like an NFL team with Sanders back there. Not that he's lighting the world on fire, but they were just looking bad with Dylan Gabriel out there. So it seems like the players have some more life too, and Tennessee's just that bad. So I got them. And then my final best bet of the week, Maddie's going to be like, what the fuck because of this? Give me the Jets +2.5 at Miami because Miami is trash. The Jets are good enough to beat them because the Jets have played good teams pretty decent. Give me the Jets +2.5.
Okay. Jay, my best.
How are the Jets the underdog in that game anyway?
We'll see in a second. I like the Seahawks.
Maddie picked Miami.
I have picked Miami as one of my best bets of the week. Miami last week should have covered the Saints by a mile. They were better than the Saints by an absolute country mile. They went for it on 4th down. Somehow the Saints backdoor covered in that one at 5.5 points. The Miami Dolphins are better than the Jets.
The Jets defense is better without their 2 best players.
That's it. That's not wrong. It's that run game that they've got going down in Miami, and actually they're playing pretty
What about that?
okay football.
What about that run game that's been coming on the last few weeks up in New York?
It's nothing compared to the Miami running game. I think the fact that we've gone different on the best bet is quite funny. Yes, but I've gone for the Dolphins at -2.5. I have zero trust in the Jets, and the Dolphins, I'm amazed, didn't cover last week. They had no business covering. Jay, you're gonna hate my picks. Actually, Jay, you're gonna really go against them. Actually, all of mine, I think. So I've got the Dolphins at -2.5, going up against the Jets. Jay, I have the Bears at +6.5, going up against the Green Bay Packers.
I don't hate that.
I'm amazed.
I'm probably leaning at the Packers, but I don't hate that.
I'm amazed that the Bears are nearly a touchdown dog against the Green Bay Packers, considering how well the Bears have played and how the Packers play.
I want to see what that line lands out on Sunday before I make a pick, but I don't hate it.
I also want to see how the Packers hold that run game with Monungai in there, and then Jay, I've taken the Los Angeles Chargers as 2.5-point dogs against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Chargers are back on track. Their run game is back on track. Their defense is back on track, and the Eagles they have zero offense. They can't move the ball. So that you're going to struggle from the off to be a favorite in a game for me.
I guess if I'm looking at something to see if you're taking a piss, all right, I'm done with my bad use of their slang. It's not that I hate the pick; it's I wouldn't bet that game.
I think
that's the only thing I got against it. Like I wouldn't bet that game. If you feel that strongly, right with it.
I genuinely think the Chargers are just not. I just genuinely think the Eagles, are just not actually a good football team currently. I think
I'm not arguing that point, but what scares me is when you have a team with talent everywhere, you just never know what happens in the game.
That's a fair point. I think what's happened the most on this game is because the Cowboys season relies so much on the Eagles losing to the Chargers and the Bills. I am just going to go full heart on the Chargers and the Bills in those games. I think it's all quite funny.
And here's the thing is I don't let Justin Herbert off the hook, but the Chargers have proved to me they only go as far as he takes them.
Yeah, I think he's been the
It's not that he's not a really good quarterback. It's that he gets a pass for all the shit that's going. Yeah. That's my issue. Like I beat up Josh Allen a couple years ago because it's not that he's not great. He gets a pass. Now the media kind of has been holding him more accountable. Maybe they should do that to Justin Herbert, and then I can stop bitching about that too.
Yeah, it's Justin Herbert gets the pass because of how he looks as well, right? Like it is mainly,
and he does look like a California quarterback, doesn't he? With them flowing locks and
sunshine.
Yeah, he got good hair. But yeah, he got good hair though. Sunshine's from California. That was the worst. That was the worst gay slur. That was a gay reference in that movie. And I was like, at first I was like, whoa, they did what? And I'm like, oh, that's really how people were back then. I have to remember how far back that was. Do you know what I mean?
I didn't even realize it was a gay slur. I just thought.
Yeah, because they always say you're from California back then used to mean.
Oh, right. Okay. I just thought he actually was from California.
He was. But what he was trying to say to the girls, because the girls were adamant, it was a reference to them being against gay people, not just the black plight back then. So it caught me off guard when I watched the movie. But then I thought to myself, oh, there's a lot of people back then that hated black people. Like I should be surprised they hated gay people too. You know what I mean? But we're just in a time and a place in the world where like I don't think about that kind of shit till it's thrown in my face.
Until you're reminded of it.
I'm like, but the sad thing is I don't want to go on a tangent. That was literally like my parents were young when the first black kid went to school in a white school in the United States. Like, so it's not that long ago.
No, it's not that long ago. It's the stuff of like, actually, the reason that people put those photos in black and white is to make you feel like it's a long time ago. Those photos originally are actually, a lot of them are taken in color. They just edited them to black and white. And Frank had pictures in color.
Yeah, it feels like that should have been 130 years ago, and it was literally like 50, in some of these cases.
Like Martin Luther King, a lot of the pictures of him are actually in color, but have been edited to be black and white to make you feel like it was longer ago.
it's crazy you say that. I've never thought about that, but it's so true.
Yeah. So the pictures are in color. Anne Frank had pictures of herself in color.
Yeah, that's why all World War II pictures you see are pretty much in black and white.
Yeah, but they actually were able to do them in color. Like,
no, you're right, because when they just show the U.S. soldiers, those are in color. When they, it's a dim color, but it's color, right? And then they show the battle scenes and it's black and white. And you're like, okay, now that you say it, this is all making sense in my head.
It's everything is a lot more recent than everybody.
See, you guys, anyway. This is what happens when you have a guy who went to college for history. This is what happens on the show.
Yeah, history teacher jumping in a little bit there, taking over.
Well, it's weird because your school trained to be a history teacher, but you teach English.
Well, I teach English as a foreign language, yeah, but I've just applied for a history teaching job at a British international school in Riga. They've just come out with some history teaching jobs, so I hope fingers crossed that I could get one of those.
That just proves Maddie's smarter than the rest of us.
I'm not. That's just not true. But thank you anyway.
If you can't, British, I can't take a fucking compliment. Shit, man. Self-deprecating British shit that we're seeing right now too. In Maddie's head, he's like, "I'm smarter than the rest of you. I just can't say it."
That's just no. That's not why I think.
Wait, anyway. British question, because I think Americans like learning shit as much as I do. Do you really want? I see this in a movie. Do you guys really walk past people and instead of saying hello, do you go, "You okay?" And they go, "You okay?" And then you just keep walking.
You all right?
You all right? That's what it was. You all right? And they say, "Yeah, you all right?" And then you just keep walking. The other guy doesn't even respond.
If you told me how you were, if I said you all right and you told me how you were, I would think that you're a right weirdo. I know when I did.
To even ask in the U.S. is crazy. That's something I would never ask because somebody's going to tell me.
Yeah. See, I've fallen into that trap with Americans quite a lot, where I've like jumped on to something and said like, "You all right?" And then they've told me. I'm like, "What, mate? What are you doing? Why are you talking to me right now?"
But if I walk past you and I go, "You all right?" You're going to say, "Yeah, you all right?" And I'm not going to respond, right? The first person who asks doesn't respond.
Not even, "Yeah, you all right?" I would just be like, "You all right?" Like that. Like, don't even.
In the movie, it went like this. It went, "You all right? Yeah, you all right?" And then they just kept walking, and I was like, that was the weirdest shit I had ever seen. But I got what they were getting at because in the same show, they said, "I haven't seen you since you was in nappies," which I pretty sure meant you were young. But I asked in the group chat, and then Mark came in and was like, "Yeah, it's diapers." Yeah.
Diapers,
Me and Moose were having a field day with nappies in the fucking
nappies. Yeah, it's a good one.
But I watch a lot of British shit, right? So like I watch a lot of British podcasters and different things too, because other places in the world interest me and England really interests me because we're a lot alike, but yet we are so different. And it's the little things, right? It's not huge. It's little things like petrol station and gas station. It's that kind of weird shit that like, I'm like, nobody would ever call it a petrol station here. Nobody refers to gas as petrol, even though that's the real name. Like it never happens.
Yeah, I think it's just generally like the idea of like how we're like cousins or like that kind of relation as well. It's the same with the Aussies. So I'm currently with watching the cricket. I currently put a VPN on Australia, and I'm like, we're playing cricket together. We're all doing the same. They have their head of state is still the king and stuff like that. But then they have KFC bucket advertisements on the cricket pitch and all of that kind of stuff, which was just not something that we'd ever have. Or they still have that Americanized way of marketing. So like seeing all of their cricket players in ads and stuff is mad to me because our cricket players, you don't see them outside of playing cricket.
If you're an American, the difference is you're our British cousins who kind of have a disdain for us a little bit. And the Aussies are the cousins who are really happy to see us.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair because we're not.
Like, I don't think you guys hate us, but I think when you meet us individually, people are like, "I like that dude." But I think there is a very negative thought sometimes of Americans because I watch these British teenagers who are at boarding school and they eat food, And
Jolly, right? I saw that pop up on my timeline for the first time.
The things they think about Americans, and it's not even like bad, negative things, but the things that they think about Americans sometimes, I'm like, wow, that's really weird that they believe that about us, right? Like that they think that, and then the jolly guys will tell them, well, it's actually this. And they'll go, really? And they'll be shocked. And I'll be like, wow, it is crazy. Like, and I'm sure we do the same thing, right? But it's just crazy when you watch it and see that, like.
It's funny. The funniest thing about that to me is like the whole, I've been watching Friends again recently. And when it's like they go to London and like that's where Ross is getting married to a British girl, and they go to London and everybody's really excited about going to London. But now if you see any Americans talking about London, all of it is like it's Sharia law and your phone will get stolen as soon as you walk off the thing and like all of that kind of stuff. It's so funny.
Maddie, I think you're seeing the angry part of the internet because as an American, I don't ever see that. I don't see people talk bad about you guys.
It's a JD Vance can't keep our name out of his mouth. Like
there's truth to that.
He currently every single time he speaks, it's like, isn't the UK shit? Anyway,
think about it. For JD Vance, it's a smart move because the last thing you want to be doing is talking about what's going on here right now.
Yeah, I think the main thing is kind of like, it's London is a beautiful city of multiculturalness where the mayor is Muslim and stuff. It doesn't really buy into a lot of people's stuff, right?
Well, but the mayor of New York is now Muslim, so
I know exactly. And you guys are about to have a great time. It's gonna be fun. But I was in London actually. I was in London yesterday, day before yesterday, flying back from Latvia. I went through London and I went to go try some Mexican food in London because London is the best food city on the planet because of the amount of immigrants there. So I went to go try some Mexican food made by some actual Mexicans in London and stuff like that. It is the best food city on the planet, not because of British food. I'm not saying because of British food. I'm saying because of like it's the best imitations of everybody's food. It's always voted one of the best.
Okay. All I'm going to say is, and maybe I need to come to Britain to argue this, but until you eat New York, Toronto, and Chicago, I ain't trying to hear that shit. Okay. Toronto was one of the most wildly ethnically spread of food that I've ever seen.
Yeah, but it's not compared to London though. Like London is like the different New York fair. I think New York.
I've never once heard somebody go, you know where the best food in the world is? England. Never in the history of the world.
Do you know which country has the most Michelin stars in terms of their chefs? It's the UK.
Where are their restaurants?
London, like loads of them are in London, but they all
but a ton of those Michelin stars are in American restaurants with British chefs. I'm not saying that.
Ramsey.
You guys are kind of worldly known for not knowing what seasonings are.
No, British food, I get it, because British food is for.
I want to try British food, but there's some of it that I'll never eat as a vegetarian.
Yeah, you'd struggle. We don't do a lot of vegetarian foods, but British food is amazing. But it's not for eating in a restaurant. It's for eating in your grandma's home or at a pub when it's pissing.
I will tell you, I'm a fan of beans and I'm a fan of toast. Someday I will try it together, but trying to toast. No, because like people don't, and they do it, but carb on top of carb on top of carb is kind of weird. But
legitimately my favorite thing. You've just described my favorite.
Nowhere else in the world are they going to consider that like a delicacy, right? And I read up on this. The reason you guys eat beans and toast is a lot to do with Heinz had a huge marketing thing over in Britain, it took off because it was easy to store and it was cheap.
I think the biggest problem with the concept of British food, right, is that the most American exposure was the Second World War. So the amount of Americans who lived in the UK during the Second World War, because it was the point, like it was the floating fortress that was used to invade Europe by Americans, right? So the amount of American GIs who came over and basically went, God, British food is so shit. And it's like, well, no shit. We've been on rations since 1939 and you fuckers have only showed up 2 years later, you know? Like, so yeah, no shit, our food's terrible. The issue is the UK doesn't come off rations until like 1950. So all that, so like the delicacies in the north are all like canned corned beef and all of that kind of stuff. Like,
I'll tell you,
I would say as kids.
We went to Las Vegas. I turned vegetarian.
I hope you guys are enjoying this, by the way.
Yeah, well, this is great because we're done with the football and we are the Yankee of the Brit. So if anybody watches this.
Normally we have these chats off live because we cram so much in, but week 13 actually didn't have that much to talk about because all the best games were on Thanksgiving. So I'm actually, we've just kept it rolling, which
my 2 weeks before I turned a vegetarian 13 years ago, we were in Las Vegas.
Right.
And I was smashing prime rib on all the buffets that we were hitting because I had won all these free buffets on My Vegas. So if you're going to Vegas, go on Facebook and play that shit. It's so worth it. But we were going to go eat at Gordon Ramsay's burger house, right? He has a burger restaurant, and walk up and the guy's outside, the security dude. And I'm like, hey, I said, I know it's pricey, but like, what are we talking pricey? He goes, bro, the cheapest burger is $99. I was like, yeah, not a chance in the world. Yeah. If they'd have said 50, I probably would have went. But not a fucking burger in the world is worth $100 to me.
He has an amazing pizza place in London that's actually very affordable. Like,
well, the one thing, I saw Beard go there and break the record of most slices eaten in a day. But the one thing, if I still ate meat that I would try, and I hate mustard, and I would still try it, is the beef Wellington.
Yeah, I think it's like it's such a famous thing, right? That you've got to.
Yeah. And Ramsay's, you got to eat Ramsay's because it's kind of what he's known for originally.
Yeah, the thing is with Americans and American tourists, and why I genuinely think London would be the best place for Americans to come and eat food is the reason. So actual cost of living to wage is very similar in the US and the UK, but you had such a big wage inflation thing like during COVID and stuff. Like the wage inflation just went insane. Like you get people who just earn like 100K. Like when you were saying referees and like 100K, that's like a ridiculously good wage in the UK. Like that is mad. Like,
the average house here is $400,000.
Yeah, no. So our housing market is still fucked, but like everybody just rents in the UK. Like everybody my age in the UK, no one can afford a house. Like
no, that's the truth. I said the other day we bought our house and the housing market crashed, so we got lucky and got a cheap house, right? I say the sad thing is because people are like, you should be happy your house is worth 4 times what it was. I'm not happy because my kid can't buy a house, and the only way at this point is unless something changes, she's not going to own a house till we die.
Yeah, we have like a lot of stuff where it's currently our country's politics is basically run by the pensioners for the pensioners. You know, like why is our social services struggling so much? Oh, we have an aging population, but continue to fund it in the same way as to when we didn't have an aging population. You know, so people are living longer, and it just so I'm basically paying for people to have a pension that I'm never going to have. Like the government will run out of money.
That's fine.
The government will run out of money if we continue to do the pension in the same way and the welfare state in the same way. It will run out of money by the time I get there. So they then wonder why young people are so fucking annoyed at old people in the UK all the time. And it's like because we don't have any money and you have all of our money.
It's just not the UK. It's the same thing here, bro. It's the young people and the old people are so. And see, I'm in this weird age where like. My parents were boomers, but yes, I'm Gen X, but I'm 2 years from being a millennial, so I'm a young Gen X, right?
Yeah.
So I watched Gen Z grow up in a close enough proximity to see what affects them, and I watched how boomers did shit, so I'm in this weird middle where I'm watching YouTube, like Gen Z and boomers just fight each other.
Yeah, well, it's like I'm like in... so born in 97, so in that like Gen Z millennial crossover. So right. I remember not having like amazing access to the internet and only having 4 TV channels and not everybody had phones and all of that kind of stuff.
The first time I used the internet, I was 18 years old and it was dial-up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But when people go like, oh, you didn't have that thing of playing outside. It's like, yes, I did. Like that didn't, the tech stuff happened like very quickly.
Shout out to my neighborhood and a lot of what I'm seeing in Green Bay. And I hope this is a nationwide trend. When my daughter was young, you didn't see the kids playing outside much. They are out all the time in my neighborhood now. And around Green Bay, I see them in the parks and doing stuff again. So shout out to whatever's changing, way to get outside and socialize.
Yeah, that's good. But I think back to London and the food city point, which we lost, was because American wages are so high, right? Compared to UK wages. You come over to London and just like spam like absolutely everything. To me, London is super fucking expensive, but to Americans, like whenever my parents live on, there's a tourist trail that all Americans seem to do. It's like you fly into London, you spend a couple of days in London, you then go to either Oxford or Cambridge, then you come to York, which is where I live, then you go to Edinburgh after that, up to Scotland.
Am I the only one who wants to go to Manchester?
I don't like Manchester personally, but a lot of Americans go to Manchester as well.
It's because we see it on so much shit. We got to see it. You know what I mean?
The music scene and stuff like that.
And isn't Manchester kind of like the gritty part of the UK? Because that's how they make the team in the movies.
Like it used to be. Yeah. Okay. So it's now like the London of the North. So, but my brother went to university in Manchester, and both of my parents actually met at university in Manchester. As well, and they went to university in the 90s in Manchester, and it sounded fucking amazing because it was like Oasis, the Smiths, like all of that kind of stuff.
Today is gonna be the day. Okay,
all of that.
Well, I grew up on Oasis and 90s grunge, but so when you go to King's Cross, is there Americans there acting like fools because of Harry Potter? Always.
Always, yeah. There's a queue to get to. They have set up like a platform 9 3/4 with a trolley going into the wall for you to take pictures at. Like it's there.
Is there always just Americans?
Yeah. Well, it's everyone. It's every tourist. Like it's because King's Cross is like the main station.
You know, it's going to get in 27. It's going to get even more because the TV shows, the series, is coming out. You know, so you're going to get a whole new generation of younger kids who fall in love with Harry Potter all over again.
York has one of the best preserved medieval streets in Europe, and it's the inspiration for Diagon Alley.
If you guys would change a couple of your laws, I'd come over. But all right, before we get out of here for the game, Maddie, when do we?
You can come now.
No, I didn't mean I can't legally come. I said for me to come over there, y'all need to legalize some shit, or it's going to be a rotten vacation. No, okay, you guys are getting there. You're getting there. I see more and more.
Amsterdam. Go to Amsterdam. Let's meet up in Amsterdam instead. You have to fly through London to get there.
When do we know if Wales makes the World Cup? When do we find all this out? March. Okay.
Wales have to be Bosnia and Herzegovina, and they have to beat Italy together.
That's the tough one, right?
Well, yeah, Bosnia are pretty decent.
Okay.
Bosnia are okay, but it's either Italy or Northern Ireland that they have to beat together.
All right.
They're in a playoff now.
I really want you. I want them to make it, so you bring your ass over here, and
Yeah, be fun. But
even depending where they are, it might actually be a longer flight for me to come see you here than to fly to England.
Yeah, that could be the thing, because they could be in Mexico City, in theory.
If you were in LA, it's a longer flight for me.
Or LA. They could be in LA. They could be in Dallas. That'd be fun. if they're in Dallas.
I think that's like a 14-hour train ride. I might do that because it's better than driving.
Trump's talking about moving all of the stadiums now last minute, and FIFA are just sucking them off the whole time anyway. So.
Well, FIFA's threatened to pull it a couple times from us, so we'll see what happens.
I've only ever seen that reported by American news. Everywhere else, like FIFA are just bending over backwards for the Americans, as far as we can see. But
I don't know.
I suppose that's modern media.
I don't follow enough of it to know what's true.
Yeah, right. Let's go remind everybody of our best bets.
Remind me of our best bets.
So before we head off, guys, our best bets are ChatGPT's best bets are the Cowboys at 3.5 points, the Colts at 1.5 points, the Bills at 6.5 points. Jay's best bets are the Seahawks at 7.5, the Browns at 4.5, and the Jets at +2.5. My best bets are the Bears at +6.5, the Chargers at +2.5, and funnily enough, the Dolphins going up against the Jets at -2.5. So I guess, Jay, we're going to have to fucking review the Dolphins versus the Jets.
I was just going to say we picked the worst two teams and went on our best bet. That's crazy.
Great. We're going to have to watch the Dolphins and the Jets. I'm going to have to review it on Thursday. Fan-fucking-tastic.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe. Hit the notification button, and you won't miss any of the shows because there's enough of them on the channel. You need to just go check them out. And if you're an MMA fan and you've been following Street Beefs for any time, we had OG referee Ref Rob on from the OG Yard last night. You can go catch that. All right, guys. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.